tell the camp counselor, like, listen, I got stung. I don't know what's going on because it's not the first time we've had a hornet's nest in the tree close or whatever. I tell them, like, really? And I tell security, pull up the video. So now they slow the video down on me and put all kind of karate sound effects.
Podcast featuring your girl Rema and Debra Coco right here each and every other Friday night. Let's get it.
I am live and direct by myself.
Nobody knows. Hello?
I can hear you now, but I don't see you.
I see you. I see everybody.
Okay, so then it's on my end.
Can she see?
Now I see. Okay, hello.
Okay.
All right, we good.
Rema, you can see?
I can see, yeah.
All right, good. All right. So we live already.
Right.
What me and Debra do is do our intro and then we'll bring you in.
All right.
Deb, do you have the link?
Do I have the link for the show tonight?
Yeah, for the page.
I'm on the page on my other computer, so I'm just going to share it.
Can you at me in? Because I can't.
Really weird. Okay. I think I have to go on my phone to share it on the page and to tag you.
I got stung. I don't know what's going on because it's not the first time we've had a hornet's nest.
But you in the chat, Deb, right?
Yeah.
Where you want ISS Radio?
On the Great Debate page.
Huh?
I'm on the Great Debate page.
I am too. You see it?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. All right.
As soon as I get on, my light goes off. Okay, but then it's on my end. Thank you for joining us, LARRIMA Davis. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
Deb, you want to get into it and take it from the top?
I guess so. Let's rerun that intro. I guess it is. I was trying to just share from my phone, so excuse me from looking down. I'm just trying to share it to my page as well.
It's all good. I'll ask some people while we're doing this, but let's get into it. So I am Rema.
And I'm Debra Coco.
You guys, welcome to another great show of the Great Debate. We got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. Really, really happy to be here on this 4th of July weekend. I'm taking away Independence Day from it, but 4th of July weekend, the red, white, and blue.
Right. I think in protest of all the corruption and the cops and the protests and everything that's been going on,
right?
We're supposed to be wearing all black, actually, right? Did you see something about that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, wearing all black on the 4th of July, a celebration of black people. I've seen that on a few posts going around that people were not wearing the red, white, and blue this year on the 4th of July, that they are wearing all black to symbolize black people, Black Lives Matter, and the whole movement that's going on right now.
So I want to talk really brief before we introduce our guest for tonight's show about Black Lives Matter and the movement and what we're doing here right in New York, right? So it was supposed to be all 5 boroughs that was supposed to have this big monument on Black Lives Matter on the street of, each borough.
Right.
And they said that Queens and Bronx would be last. So this week we were supposed to have it on 5th Avenue. Everybody knows it was a big thing because Trump said it disintegrated the street. And that the police, if that would give the police opportunity or even an excuse to be mad at the public because we wanted a Black Lives Matter mural on 5th Avenue. I didn't even understand what the two had to do with each other.
I don't see a connection, but Trump likes to throw things in there anyway, and a lot of things don't make sense when it comes out of his mouth. So I wouldn't even try to give it another thought to try to figure that one out. You know what I mean?
I really do hope that this monument happens because I do feel like it's being stonewalled. I do feel like it's being stonewalled to the fact of all the hypocrisy going on. You know what I mean?
Right, of course. That's the media trying to take away any kind of positive notation associated with it is to bring up the negative in the media. That's how it's done. Media has been doing that for years, and that's also a part of our story coming up today. So that's a tactic they've been doing for years, right?
Right.
Nothing new.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So do you have plans for this 4th of July weekend?
Not at all. I'm actually renovating and painting, and if I was to take you around this house, there's boxes and paintings off the wall. It's crazy in here. So I will be trying to clean up a little bit. Remember, my walls was white. Now they're like orange. So I'm adding some colors, some spice, and trying to do some feel-good colors in here. I actually thought we'll be in the house all summer for COVID, but it looked like we're getting a little sunshine, right? Phase 2. And we slowly get back out there.
That was going to be the next current event that I did want to talk about, right? So then my next thing is travel. So I've seen my friends and some people I know from the party scene, and I've done parties, promotions, whatever with travel. And there's a big discussion on whether or not this weekend or if any time is appropriate to travel. So I was watching TMZ and they got Dr. Fauci they stopped Dr. Fauci and asked him did he think that it was appropriate, and he said it matters about where you're going, where you live, what's the percentage. And my thing is this, right? All the people I see in pictures, all the people I see traveling, you have to wear gloves, a mask, don't touch this, don't move that. we spend money when we go on vacation. I just don't see how and this is again my personal opinion, right? But I don't see how I could enjoy myself during this COVID season, basically.
Right.
Would you travel?
No, I wouldn't travel. I know some people that had airline tickets for Florida. Now look at what's happening in Florida right now. Nobody wants to go there. The numbers is rising. You're thinking you're getting away from it. You can swim, go to the pool, do some things. You can't, you can't even go there. So it's not really safe. And then I heard that they're not really doing social distancing on the airplane. They are still seating people side by side next to each other. So
it goes by the airplane. So before they did have the little seat. So now I think there's only 2 airlines left that's not filling their flights till September. Okay. Everybody else has already started filling flights.
I know, it's way too soon.
But then 5 people from TSA had COVID. They were positive, 5 people in one day. And then they went to Atlanta, which is the hub. And so this is where it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I've been traveling basically my whole life. My grandmother was a church woman. I would travel with her. I've had 2 jobs where I traveled for work.
Right.
And then leisurely, every year I try to at least get 4 vacations in, minimum, like guaranteed, like have to mentally for the mental break, because I feel like vacation is important for mental.
Yeah, you need that unwind. Yes, it is.
But at the end of the day, are you really mentally recharging when you have to deal with so much just to get to your destination? To realize you can't do this and you can't do that?
No. I wouldn't, like I said, Disney World, like some of the places I would want to travel with my children, I can't go to. They're shut down. They're still not open. So I will do local, maybe go to a resort where I have my own space, maybe my own pool or backyard type of thing. But I definitely still am into that social distancing at this point. It would have to get, I don't know if there's a phase 4, but it would have to get beyond phase 3 before I can really dive into that as of right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I don't know, it's just something about being so thirsty to go out that just seems so unattractive, right? It's like, I don't think it's that important to me. Like, I don't see it being like that important. I don't know. In the scheme of quarantine, people being murdered by police, injustice going on.
Right.
And the fact that we are now going on our 4th month and we still haven't had any resolution. So in March, I was saying that, we'll be past this month, right? And we're not.
It's July and we're still here. Right? We're still here. Okay, so I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes week by week, day by day, month by month.
Right.
I thought I would have been swimming in a pool somewhere right now, and I'm not. I'm still in my apartment like 90% of the time, so I need some vitamin D after all this is over.
I only go out for necessities, and it was kind of crazy to me because I went to ShopRite, and it was a line like the beginning of quarantine. So I called my girlfriend, and I said, I thought we were over that. Like, I thought we were over lines. And she's like, no, we just don't go out. Like, she's like, I went to Brooklyn, and there was a line to get a Trader Joe's. And here I am, I have to use my ID because, like, being on that line is more dangerous than being in the actual store. So you have to wait online to get in the store and wait online for the supermarket. I'm just not willing to do that. So I do use my ID. I don't do it much because I don't really go out, like you said. And it's like, I didn't believe that there were still lines. I know 4th of July played a role in that. They had a good sale. But at the same time, it's like, wow, we still doing lines? When are we going to be, like, we can't open still doing lines.
Right. Last night, I actually went to Cheesecake Factory. I was going to do the curbside pickup, grab my little food and go. And they were like, no, we're open to eat. And it was, like, so weird. I said, okay, I'll take a table. They spread you out. You like, I got a table. Yeah, I sat down and I dined. And it felt unusual. It felt strange. It felt strange to see the waiter or the waitress bring me my drink, my martini, I'm like, wow, this I didn't know when I was going to be able to do that again, But it just felt weird. And it shouldn't. That's normal everyday thing, you know. But I took advantage of being able to sit down and look at a menu, and you know.
I went out too. My friend, she came here from Massachusetts and was staying upstate to get some stuff for her grandkids. So I met her at her hotel, and we ate at the hotel. So it wasn't really a restaurant, but it was empty. It was completely empty in there. And me and her just talked because I hadn't seen her in a while. But I cook. Like I'm like so scared.
I see you. I'm scared. You taking orders, or what you doing over there? Because
so this is the thing. I'm not really a cook. I like when I say I'm not really a cook. I could cook anything, but I don't like cooking for others. Right. You've been in my house. I like to cook for people in my house. When it becomes orders, it becomes a little crazy. So that's why you don't see me cash apping and promoting it in that sense, because I'm really focused on my food truck. But so far, the orders that I've been taking, that goes in a pot that I'm bidding on a food truck as we speak now. Actually, two food trucks I'm bidding.
Okay.
So I mean, I know I need to pick up the orders. Everybody's like, yo, you need to like do menus, and of course I promote. I know how to do it. I don't want to pick that volume up because it's not fun.
Right now. No, it's not. You want to keep it where it's fun and you enjoy it and where there's no stress. Once you start picking up the volume, it starts becoming stressful, and then things might not taste the same. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It can affect that, you know? So, you know,
and that's another thing I'm working on now, too, is doing my recipes, meaning that if my grandmother gave me something or my auntie, I twisted it now to where it's mine.
Okay. So all of
your own little special touch. Every single thing. Now, everything that I cook comes from somebody. But as a kid, anything I do, I always like to change it to, I'm a tourist. We like things our way. So I have my own recipes, and now when I'm trying to do them in bigger quantities, it is very hard. When you do in your own cumin and thyme and basil, and I don't do measuring cups, I know how to cook, right? Now it's like I have to do them both, because for my food truck, I'm planning, my budget would be like 180 tacos a day, 100 burritos, or 100 steak dinners, and so I'm trying to learn how to cook in that type of bulk.
Right, you have to.
And get those personal recipes going for that volume.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so you ready to jump into this interview?
I'm ready, and I'm sure. Okay. I wanted to get the viewers some people to get in before we bring our guest.
I cannot find it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find. You might have to tag me on my phone so I could. I cannot find it.
What our live?
The link, yeah. I'm trying to.
Oh, great debate. It's right there.
Okay, it is on my page. Okay.
But we might want to tag some people in before we bring our guests on.
I just started a watch party on it, and I'll share it. Let me turn this all the way down. All right, so we could.
Let's bring her in.
Yeah, let's bring her in. Okay, I'm getting some people on here now. It's Friday and it's in a storm, so we good. I mean, not like that, but.
It's all linked, right?
Huh?
It's all linked, right?
It is linked, and I have it on my page, so now I'm sharing it into my groups.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, so, you want to do the introduction?
Well, our guest really doesn't need that much introduction. Again, viewers, the people that are tuning in the great debate, we would like to introduce our guest. Actually, it would be nice for her to just introduce herself. Actually, what you think?
We can give a little background.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, right? I remember when I was young hearing the story about Larry Davis, and I'm like, who is this infamous man that, the media portrayed him as somebody that, it was a manhunt. They was looking for this man who shot this cop. And this is, I think, maybe one of the first experiences that I had where I realized how the media can manipulate, right? Manipulate the public. If they want you to look like a bad guy, they can make you look like a bad guy they don't feel like they have to explain themselves. They can leave important facts out. Like, we don't seem to come from a society where we ask questions. It's like whatever we see on the TV, that's what we believe and that's what we go by. So it's not until a couple of years later that I ran into some friends of Larry Davis who actually started filling me in on a personal level about, no, he was not a bad guy. He wasn't a guy that just shot cops for no reason. He was defending himself. He was protecting his family, and that there was so much more.
You don't want to tell too much of his story.
No. I'm just giving a synopsis that maybe the general public would know.
Right.
For those like myself who was just watching TV and we didn't really understand what was going on at the time, you know? Some people saw him as our hero, right? Because we have been manipulated by cops dealing with current situations, you know, for the longest. So some people saw him as a hero. It was so many different opinions that were floating around regarding this situation. So that's why it's so important. And I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with his daughter tonight to shed some inside light on some misconceptions that we may have and to let us know what the real story is about. So, you know, we welcome LARRIMA Davis to the show again, officially, you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And would you like to start off? Because I know you were like very young, right? At the time that this happened. So would you like to give us a little background and insight on your father?
Well, at the time of the actual shootout, I was about 4 months old. It was myself, my mother, my aunt, her children, and her husband that were in the home at the time.
Is your aunt still living?
Yeah.
The aunt that was there with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish we would have knew that. We would. I mean, have y'all both? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
like,
you're fine.
You know, your aunt is just as legendary in that story. She's like a huge, like she's really my hero.
Yeah.
Like, what if for her, your father wouldn't have made it if it was? Let's be for real, right?
Yeah. She's been through it. She's amazing. Like everybody, you know, she's my favorite, and it's a lot of them.
She's my favorite. I mean, that took real G what she did. I would have froze, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna get into all of that, but I just want to acknowledge your aunt because that was like one of my first questions for you was, is she still living?
Yeah. Yep. She's doing very well. She got her little small. She's like a seamstress. She does like sewing and everything. So she got her little small thing going on. She's doing very well though. We speak very often. Pretty much everything that I do, she's involved in, and vice versa. We talk very often. I'm trying to get her here with me down south. Hopefully I can, you know, pull a leg to do it. Just get her out of New York. Get her down.
I do see him a little bit in you. It's not about a complexion thing, right? But I see his feature. Right.
Yeah.
In the picture, you don't look as much like him, but as you talk, I do see him.
You do.
Yeah. I look like
okay, you were saying you was about how many months now?
So I was 4 months old when the shootout transpired. So yeah, it was all of us in the home at the time. I don't really remember at all anything in reference to the shootout itself. But you know, as I got older, I was able to visit with him, and we began to build a relationship. You know, it was mainly in my teenage years. When I was younger, my mom kept me real sheltered, so it wasn't a major situation where I actually knew that he was incarcerated. Okay. She had a habit of like saying he was at school or like things like that. She would just kind of make up until I got a little older, and I'm just like, yeah, something ain't right, you know. And I would keep game, and then we started communicating more. I started going to visit him a lot more, and we would speak briefly about things that had transpired, and you know, just how to conduct myself as his child. Period. You know, so he still played a major part in our community. You know, right now and then. You know, during his entire incarceration. It was weird to me because growing up, like in my teenage years, anytime someone would meet me and they would know that I was his child, they would just like go crazy, and I just never understood why. To me, it was like strange, like, all right, bruh. But you know, after I got a little older and I was able to really dig into the story myself and really do my own research on it, as well as the things that he had told me, I understood. Okay. You know, to them it was more like they looked up to him. You know, it was more like he was that freedom fighter guy, that guy that really did what nobody else had enough guts to do. You know, so it was more like she stated, he was like their ghetto Robin Hood. You know, so they looked at him a little differently.
So I just want to set the scene up a little more direct for the viewers, right? Because we have some viewers that are very familiar with Larry Davis, and we have some viewers that are not. And there's some viewers who are not tuned in, who are going to tune in, and they're going to be educated. Either way it goes, you're going to educate somebody watching. I just wanted to set up back, what was this, 86, 85?
86.
86, right? So 86 in the Bronx was like crazy heavy poverty. The poverty in the Bronx at that time, we didn't even have any buildings, living. Like most of, like, it was like 40% or such that was like burnt, right?
Yeah,
that's what they called it, burnt down.
Fort Apache.
Yeah.
Right? Real Fort Apache, right.
So, you know, poverty was heavy in that time, right? And so I want to set it up because people, what is the main controversy I feel about Larry Davis is his involvement with police before it got ugly, right? And what led actually to it getting ugly, right? And that's, I think, is more of the controversy than anything beyond that shootout, right? So I wanted to set the viewers up in that, before that 1986 night when that happened in your aunt's house, right? So Larry Davis, he was an African-American man living in the Bronx, and he was what we would call a hustler, right? Making money on the street. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now, can you fill us in a small synopsis up into the shooting?
So pretty much with that, he was like 19 years old at the time, right? He was really
at the time of the shooting. See, I think that's where people got to really look at it from a different spectrum.
That's why I want to bring up the beginning.
Yeah, when he first got involved with the police, he was a child.
16,
I have a 16-year-old daughter, and in my mind, I could never imagine her doing the things that he was doing at that age. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he was a child when they basically preyed on this kid. He didn't look like a child, but he was a child. They preyed on this kid, abused their authority, went into the hood, grabbed the I guess the most aggressive black man that they could find to run shop through the Bronx for them in reference to distributing the drugs that they were given to him. At 15, he got caught up in the life, you know, and of course, I think any kid at that age, my child's the same way. They like money. They want to be able to spend it. He just went about it the wrong way. And that's due to the lack of guidance. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother had a lot of children. A lot of them. You know, so it wasn't a situation where she was able to put her hands on each and every one of them at every moment of the day. You know, but she did the best that she could. It was like 13 or 14 of them.
I want to interject and also say it was also due to the same thing that is due to now, which we're going to get into. There is nowhere for black young men to go. But to be on the street and watch crime. That's like, but we'll get into that later. But I just wanted to state that during your father's time at 16, when there's police officers coming to him offering him X, Y, and Z, and he didn't have a community center or a Big Brother program or a mentoring program or a rapper who said, don't do this.
You know, so he took the opportunity that was presented to him, and he tried to make it the best opportunity possible. And it just went bad. You know, it went bad. He has a mom he has 14, 15 siblings. They're all living in one house. She's a single mother. You know, and he's doing what he's doing to make sure he has the things that he needs, you know, and then he became a dad, you know, so it's like everything was working against him. He did what he had to do, but you also got to look at it from a standpoint if he was a child. You can easily manipulate a kid to do what you want if you put candy in front of their face, you know, so I look at it from that standpoint. You know, I have kids, I know how they are.
Murdered because they was children. I mean,
and just imagine the 16-year-old who's out on the street being approached by the police, right? Because at that time they had a special task force that they were sending out into these neighborhoods, right?
To recruit kids.
And they were supposed to recruit kids, basically, to distribute these drugs. They went to each neighborhood, tried to find out who was the toughest, who had a name, who was already in the game, in the business, and they approached them with these offers that they probably couldn't even think that they could refuse anyway, right? As 15, 16 years old. So there was task force that were designed to go after, get 5 arrests a night, right? I watched the Tony Reed story a little bit and they really broke down the whole climate of what it was to live in the Bronx, to live on Washington Heights, what cops were special units were actually sent out to do. So in that regard, you want to talk about the reason why he came to the point where he wanted to stop?
Well, you know, he had dreams. My dad was a musician. He played every instrument by ear. You know, he had dreams of doing the whole music thing, and he was very, very good at it. His whole deal was that, you know, he has a child now. He's trying to get out of the life. You know, he just didn't want to do it anymore. He knew what he was doing was wrong. We're in the middle of the biggest crack epidemic there was in the city at the time, you know, and they basically took advantage of that by putting the drugs in our communities. And he was led to give it out to our people. And after a while, it was just like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, and when it came down to I don't want to do this anymore, of course they couldn't let that happen because he was the one leading everything. You know, we can't allow this boy to walk away and we end up being exposed, you know. So you have a set of police officers who literally orchestrated a raid that was totally illegal because they didn't have a warrant.
Right.
The media, like you said, flipping things to make them believe that this is what something was. So all of a sudden, he became
America's Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted for multiple murders. You know, first it went from he's wanted and questioning. If you're going to question somebody, why are you bringing the entire, you know what I'm saying?
You got the whole squad with you.
The whole everybody. Like,
what he was allegedly, what they wanted to convict him for was other hustlers for who he was working for. Am I correct?
No. My father didn't even know these men.
What they were saying.
They were claiming that he was wanted and questioned for murders of some drug dealers, some Dominican drug dealers in the Bronx. The questioning went from it being he's in questioning to he's wanted for murder. Right. You know, but the whole he's wanted for murder came after the whole police shootout. Of course, they had to put a spin on it, make it a little bit more juicy, because now the entire country is looking for this man after he done shot all these police officers.
Right.
You know, so
and they have to try to validate their actions.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the reasons that you have to run into this man's house. So you're going to say that he's wanted for murder, right? For killing 5 other drug dealers. They actually had 5 cases against him.
Yes.
Right. What I seen in
they
the
did.
Yes. So that was just one.
That was just one of them.
And then they actually came out, one of the girlfriends of one of the drug dealers that got murdered, she actually said that your father had nothing to do with it.
He wasn't even there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He had not even been there, you know, and it was just like, after, you know, reading a lot of the transcripts and stuff, he was bamboozled in that courtroom, you know, and it was more so of, he got off on this, and this case, but then of course, they're looking at it like, you know, he made a mockery of us. Right. We got to get him on something. He wasn't coming home. He knew that. He used to say that all the time. He knew he wasn't coming home. Wow. You know, so years later, they hit him with another murder. And he was found guilty on that after the weapons possession, where he was almost done doing his time for the weapons that he used to shoot the police with. He was in prison for those weapons. And then they hit him with a random murder charge a couple years later, just to make sure he stayed right where he was at.
Some murder in Manhattan, right? Somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Manhattan. So they tried to get him for kidnapping. They tried to get him for shooting through a door. How can you say who shot a gun through a door? Right? You cannot see on the other side of the door. That doesn't even make sense. So how did he get captured? Tell us about that.
So he ended up going on the run for 17 days. They had executed, I think, about 9 unsuccessful raids out in New York and outside of New York. So it was in other states too. Eventually, someone had a sighting. Someone called in a tip and led them to that building. He ended up snatching up the family into their home. The lady who basically testified, basically stating that, you know, he was very nice, real calm with them, played with the kids, everything. She didn't feel like he was going to hurt them. But of course, you got a complete stranger in your home. Right. You know, you're looking at it a little differently. But eventually, he just ended up having to negotiate his own surrender because he knew that they were going to kill him if he didn't.
By FBI, by calling in the FBI.
Yeah,
right?
calling in the FBI, calling in the news stations, making sure it was basically being publicized and it was on record, it was being recorded, his surrender. He came out and that was it. You know, he did his little infamous perp walk that everybody always posts his pictures of online.
Right.
This little bomber jacket. And, you know, that was kind of it. After that, it was mainly just fighting the trials back to back to back for years. Wow. You know, but he was very successful what he did. Lynn Stewart, William Kunstler, you know, they did an awesome job. He had a team of attorneys. They did an awesome job, you know, with this case. What I do want to make clear is that, you know, I do hear like, I think it was I don't remember what publication it was, but it was something in reference to, I think, one of the cases that he was fighting, that they were trying to say that like he was like a snitch or a rat, or he was ratting people out, and that was the reason why he was getting off on all these charges.
Okay.
It's like, no, that's not why. Yeah, that's not why. Like it was because he had amazing attorneys who proved what they couldn't prove. You can't sit back and say, oh no, we went to his home on an illegal raid, doing an illegal raid, you know, and then we just ended up all being shot up. We have no clue why he shot first, but it was proven in court that he did not shoot first.
Right.
You know, like you literally came there, you saw him holding a child in his hands, and you still took shots knowing that it was children in the home.
Wow.
You know, and that bothers me. Those type of things bother me because to me it destroys his character. That's not who he was. You know, he did his time. He did it gracefully. He was probably the most chillest person. He was difficult to deal with at times, but he was probably the most chillest person that you'll probably ever meet in your life. Super funny, still down to earth, you know, and I know he had his moments. I think anybody would doing that much time. Right. But to paint him as a street rat, nah. You know, so
absolutely not. This is the case where he had the opportunity to do music. He was working in studios. He was helping local artists and rappers to learn how to even write music and put things together. And all of that got sidetracked. You know, that's the only way he could have went in the music business, right?
Exactly.
He was able to do that. So it's just so unfortunate.
So, LARRIMA, let me ask you a question. With all the police brutality going on right now, right? And of course, in the wake of George Floyd's murder and Rashad and Armand, everything doesn't have to be police killing. It's just wrong killing, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Being that it's still kind of tied to your father. Like in New York, we look at your father's case as like the Godfather. This is before LARRIMA and all these other cases where police was just wilding in the 80s. It was just a free for all. It was a free for all in the 90s, but then I think Spike Lee made Do the Right Thing, and I think that opened up America a little bit. So like I think that movie itself slowed it down a little, right? Yeah. But again, tying it all together, like how was it hearing that George Floyd got killed by police? And this whole movement, when this has really been your life, this has been your life struggle kind of indirectly your whole life.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. That George Floyd video still brings tears to my eyes. Right. Seriously.
Right.
Like, it is one of the most devastating, disgusting things I have ever viewed in my life. And even though I think that, you know, my family and I, we dealt with the trials and tribulations of my father being incarcerated because of similar things. And, you know, of course, his situation was a tad bit different. The outcome was a tad bit different, you know, but
the basis is all the same, right?
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know what it is. When I look at them, and it's not all of them, because I have a few police officers that are really close friends and they're really good men. But I look at it like this: if you know that your counterparts or your colleagues are doing the wrong thing and you do nothing to prevent it or you do nothing to stop it,
right,
you're just as guilty as them. But watching that man die on video like that, man, listen.
It was crazy.
it was disturbing. Like I thought about it for days. I'm like, this is crazy. You know, and it's like, to me, it's just getting worse and worse and worse, because honestly, if folks did not start burning this country down the way that they did with these protests and these riots and looting and everything, I'm gonna be real with you, I really could care less about the riots.
I'm there with you. People was mad at me. I said burn it to the crisp.
That's how I feel.
The crisp.
Right. They don't have no ownership with none of that stuff.
It ain't about my business and my business and who business. Burn it all down.
That's what I said. Everybody's like, oh no, that's wrong. No,
it's not.
They did it when they came in and took Obama into this land. They did it. They came in here, burned things down, raped these women, just destroyed this place and turned it into what they call America. They did it first. At the end of the day, I look at it like this, like, it's not it's America. Why would you burn your own communities? These are not our communities.
These are not our communities. Right.
They're not. Why are y'all destroying the targets? When has Target ever done anything for the Black community? When have you ever heard of them doing anything positive for the Black community besides taking our money? Like, that's it. And they overcharge you all the time. Like, taxes be crazy in that store.
Oh, definitely.
No.
So let me ask you, when your father actually was incarcerated, was there ever any harassment to your family afterwards? Did you ever hear of anything, or was it like once he ended up in jail, that was basically it?
No. It was crazy. I mean, it's still crazy to this day, especially my father's side of the family. They probably get it a little worse. But my mom, when all of this happened, my mom relocated us. And we kind of disappeared, you know, and we've been down south for years. Nobody really knew where it was. He didn't even know where we were for a really long time. And I think that bothered him. Like, when I read a lot of his letters and stuff, him and my mom went through it a lot. You know, she just felt like she was abandoned. He felt like he was abandoned because she got up and left, but she had to do what she had to do. You know, and we didn't directly. I know she was getting phone calls and things of that sort, death threats, and that's what made her pack up and move us. You know, so she didn't really get it as bad. I know the Davises, my dad's side of the family, till this day, the cops harass them. The house is still there. My grandmother's house is still there. Family still lives there. And when I say they harass them, they harass them. It's pretty bad. Yeah. Wow. It really is. I don't go to the city at all anymore.
I would think after his trial and he was found not guilty on all those counts, and it proved how corrupt the cops had been in his case, it almost kind of didn't mean anything.
Nothing.
The fact that he was acquitted on all those charges,
no.
Nobody thought to say, let's look into police corruption for a second. Maybe we can save some lives down the line.
No.
Even to this day, I'm a huge union person. But even to this day, I feel in my heart and believe in my heart, if the police union do not change these rules and these contracts, there's going to be a lot. You gotta blame the union.
Yeah, to be honest with you, because it's more like you kill, whether it's Black, white, Hispanic, it's like they kill an individual and it's like slaps on the wrist. But what I have noticed is you see these Black officers, that younger, I think it was in Atlanta, it was a white female, she was shot and killed by a Black officer. They hung him. They hung him real quick.
They did?
Yes, they did. Got him up out of there. He slammed to jail. I cannot remember this woman's name, but it wasn't too long ago. She was a white female. I want to say she was at home. He ended up shooting her. And they claim, it was an accident or whatever, but literally he was arrested, tried, and charged, and indicted, and thrown in lockup immediately. Right. They hung him, but let it have been like a young Black woman, or, it slaps on the wrist, or the Breonna Taylor, of the world. It's okay. It's like, when is anybody going to be held accountable for this? When are you going to hold your own accountable for these things?
There was another in Mississippi, Jay-Z and them fought for him today because they don't want to arrest the cops, and they caught him on camera saying, I don't have a gun, but he ran because he's scared. Black men are going to run. No Black man is going to stay there and let you cuff them. They scared, America. So he ran saying, I I don't have a gun, and they shot him.
Yeah, and the killer thing is, it's like, oh, well, I seen it was a group of people that was going off about, you know, just the fact of like the young boy in, what is his name? Rashad, I think it was, in Atlanta. The one that got shot at the Wendy's.
Oh, yeah.
I look at it like this. They were going off about, oh, well, he didn't have a gun out at first. He wasn't going to shoot him. He was just trying to arrest him. What people got to understand is, you have these cops that are arresting these individuals. Half the time, these people are not making it to hold.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or when they're making it to holding, what's her name? Bland, they end up dead in holding, and nobody's being held accountable. So it's not, oh, well, he didn't shoot me in my back, he didn't shoot me in my face, he didn't shoot me in my front. He may have not shot him right then and there, but you don't know what's going through that black individual's mind, or that man or that woman's mind, on whether or not they're going to make it home after this. Are they going to be released? Are they going to make it to holding alive? You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that I don't think people take into consideration. Some of these people are not making it to the police station. They're not making it to the city jail. Right. You know, they're end up being killed on the way there, or, you know, killed while they're there, and then it's covered up. And nobody's batting an eye about that. It's not just he didn't have his gun out. No, people are scared to death, period, right, to even sit back and have conversations with police officers.
No,
you know?
I try to keep it to a minimum whenever I have interaction. I don't care if they're smiling or not. You just don't know. Things go left so quick, right?
Exactly.
And you're just like, what happened? Like, even when I looked at the Wendy's tape, the general was sleeping. It seemed like, you know, the cop was kept badgering him. Like, for what reason? Allow him to get rest. He wasn't on the road driving and falling asleep. He was parked. Once you moved him over from the drive-through, let him rest. Give him a chance to call his family. He even said he could walk home, right? He said that I think a relative or wherever he was at was close enough to walk. And he could leave the car right there. And they still went on and on. So,
because this is the thing, right? It really doesn't matter. Again,
right. It doesn't.
If I have a job that says, if I punch you in your mouth, I will not get a repercussion for that, and I can keep my job and I can keep my check, I'm not going to second guess about punching you in your mouth. I have authority. Exactly. You've given me power, and I have authority, and I'm going to, what person in the world do you know that has authority or power and they don't use it? AKA Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you expect these police, they're human beings. They get trained like any other person gets trained for a job. They just do it more physical. That's it.
Yeah, more aggressively.
Doesn't mean that their brain is bigger. Doesn't mean that their brain is wiser. Doesn't mean any of that. You give these people this authority, with this type of power, with this type of contract, saying that, okay, you got this authority, you graduated, now you got the power, and with the power, oh, don't worry. You're going to keep your job. Just keep law and order by any means necessary.
Pretty much. All
these cops killing and they not going to jail, Deb. It got to be by any means necessary.
Yeah. They don't care about any of that stuff that we're going through. So how do you feel, LARRIMA, about the different stories that may be online that try to tell the story of who your father was and what actually happened? Do you feel that it's truthful, or you feel like that, you know, because I know a couple of friends of mine who were working with this person trying to get a movie out, working on this person trying to tell a story. How do you feel about that when you see different things on the internet and the portrayal of how they do your father?
I think it's crazy, to be honest with you. I do see a ton of different individuals jumping out there trying to do the film on him. We haven't been approached by anyone. It's reference to his family, you know, and just in the aspect of making sure that the story is told the right way, because it's a lot to this story that isn't in the public. Right. You know, his trials, his life during incarceration, his life before incarceration. You know, his life while he was in the streets. People just want to jump out there and do the story of, oh, he shot cops and he got away with it. That's not his story.
Right.
That's not his story. You know, like, let's paint the picture of who this man was and the reason why it got to where it got to, and the reason why, you know, he was where he was, and really paint the picture, especially because it's so relevant to what's going on right now. rather than just jump into the gun to just be able to say I was the first one who did the Larry Davis story.
Right.
You know, so go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, so it's a little disturbing at times, but I've gotten to a point now where, you know, I got my attorney. He takes care of a lot of the foolishness, and, you know, we're in the middle now of negotiating a TV series. We got a few offers from a few major networks. So I'm excited about that. I just really, honestly, I don't even sweat it anymore, because, I mean, it's been this long. He was incarcerated, I'll be 34 this year, 34 at the end of this month, 34 years he was incarcerated. Well, he was incarcerated 21 years. You know, this situation happened 34 years ago. Wow. So it's like one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I can't stress that. The only thing that I can do is make sure that his legacy is preserved and the story is told the right way. Right. You know, and people remember him for who he is versus who they're trying to paint him out to be.
Right.
Not only is it, I wanted to piggyback what you said, I don't think not only is it relevant, I think that it is the trendsetter of corrupt cops, right? Mm-hmm. Because it is so relatable. You know, whoever is not familiar with the Larry Davis story, like Debra said, they have 1,001. You can just Google him. But I promise you, I mean, when I came across your father, I was incarcerated. I'm on the Rikers bus, and he's in Supreme Court. And I remember the whole Rikers shit got stopped. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the driver is like, what the fuck is going on? And they like, Larry Davis. And like the drivers, they didn't even say nothing. They all know, like, Larry Davis, shit gotta stop. And the bus literally sat there for 2 hours. I don't know, they was transporting your father from one place to another. But when that 164, when he came to that 161st Street Concourse building, everything, I don't care what it was, it stopped. And I don't know, it made me feel like a big person to be from the Bronx, because it's like, no, we're not honoring, or we're not saying what he did was the right thing to do. But it really was self-defense. I mean,
it was absolutely self-defense.
Right, it really was self-defense. You came into somebody's home, no warrant, not authorized. You came into the home blazing. You lied and said he blazed. Then the forensic proved you blazed.
Right, right.
So it's like, and then you got caught in your lies. Mm-hmm. So I feel like not only is it relevant, his story, is it relevant to what's going on, I feel like it is the initial corrupt, it's like Ice-T Cop Killer song. It's like the original story is before NWA. It's like, pay attention. This is what the fuck these cops is doing. Mm-hmm. Not all of them. I have cops in my family, so it's not all of them. And I can say, I got cops in my family, that means that they good cops. It means that I got cops in my family who was raised with morals, so they put those morals in the police force. Right. Mm-hmm. So they're not one of those that come in, because let's be real, a lot of those police officers was bullied in high school. Those was the friends that nobody hung with, right? They was rejected. And so they want to be a cop to feel like, oh, nobody can hurt me now.
No, so they can get their shit off. They can get their shit off. Everything that they felt like they couldn't do then, now they can do it. They have the authority. They feel like they have the authority to do it, and nothing's going to happen to them.
Right.
But shit, you're going to start seeing a whole lot of Larry Davises if they don't chill out, because I think that's really where it's coming to. People not caring no more. You know, it's either,
but that's my next question. That is my next question to you. Great segue, right? So how you answer my question honestly, right? People now are tired, and people look at Larry Davis as shoot first, ask questions later mentality, right? Are you for that? Shoot first, ask questions later?
Look, I'm a mom. What I'm not going to do is, at me as an individual, I just can't see myself being present while my child is going through something, or I'm in a position where I know I have to protect me and mine because I need to go home.
Right.
At that point, I don't care who you are. Right. I don't care what kind of uniform you wear, or I'm gonna say costume you wear, because that's really what they are at this point. You know, I can't really say, yeah, I'm all for it, just get out here and y'all just kill all these cops, like, you know, because you do have some decent police officers that are trying to make a difference.
We need protection, rapes, murders, burglaries, kidnapping.
Yeah, it's more than.
I look at it like this: the same way that they can go and they can shoot people because they feel threatened. It shouldn't be a situation where an individual, a citizen, is given the book, or they're doing 50 years because they didn't shot a cop, self-defense, because they're a cop. If you feel threatened, the same way that you're able to shoot an intruder that comes into your home unannounced, I don't feel like it should be an issue. Whether that person has on a uniform, if they're not supposed to be there, bro, you're a threat to me and my family at this point.
Right, you busting in my home and you're not invited in here. That is
basically what the cops did to your father on that night in your aunt's house.
Exactly. And I feel like everything that he did was completely justified. Had he not done what he did, I would.
It was just amazing he got out to jump.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that he got out.
There's so many amazing things about that night.
That used to be the highlight of the story. Every time he would tell me the story and stuff, he would always get extra dramatic with it, but it would be so funny. But that would be like the super highlight of his story about, how he got out of the apartment. But it's, I don't think.
Tried to shoot him and they ended up shooting the bolt off, the lock on the other
off the other door. Yep.
They were able to go through there and get out. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
For your aunt to have the courage after the police being in the kitchen with her to say to him, they're not in here, and got him. I would have froze, like, who would have froze?
Right.
He shot 6, bust him in the face, everything, through the door, all that. And she still had the courage to help guide her brother to safety. As any American person.
That was her little brother. I think their relationship was a little different, and then I think, I'm gonna be real with you, the Davises are different. My father's side of the family, they just a little different. I was raised a little differently, but when I see them, it's, they'll beef like any other family, but when it comes to them, they're for each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be at each other's throats one week, and then the next week is like, nah, this, if you're outside, it's a different ballgame. So you got to look at it from a standpoint of, she in this house, her children is in this house,
right?
And her brother, like, they just bust in and they just shooting up everything, and he did everything that he had to do to make sure everybody walked out of there alive. Right? Say that again?
No, I said I got chills because hearing it from you is so different. It just seems so realer than anything that I'm like I said, I've been a part of your father following that when it was real life happening.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, who does it? I live in the Bronx my whole, like, who does it? If you can't be living in the Bronx and not know who the fuck.
Yeah. You'll be surprised though.
You can't though. He's a legend.
You would be surprised though.
Like that?
He's really a legend. He really is.
You'll be
and
surprised
I could imagine your mother looking at, I don't know how she was informed of what happened, because she wasn't there, right?
She was in the house.
She was in the house as well.
Yeah, she was sitting next to him. She was sitting next to him while he was holding me.
Wow.
Yeah, she was in the house. My mother was traumatized. Like, till this day, even when we talk about it, she cries.
Wow.
I don't remember, but I can just imagine you being in a home with your infant child, and you, like, just as a parent, how it is as a parent. It's just like, bro, it's different, So even when we talk about it till this day, my mother cries. And it always makes me feel bad, but I'm like, dang.
She did what
but if they ain't agree on one thing, like, they agreed on me. And she knew, like, at that moment, she didn't care what nobody said about him. She just knew that he made sure that they all got out of that house alive.
He always spoke, though. When he spoke any of his interviews, you were always the center of what was going on for him.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of him getting involved in this, and again, asking you this, not prying in a way, but just curious to know, how did you carry that, knowing that, like, my father decided to change his life when I was born, and it caused a whole chain of reactions for his life. Did he speak? This is my question: is, did he ever speak to you in regards to that?
We spoke briefly about things. I think with him is the bit of time that we would have when we would visit, and when we would talk on the phone. We talked all the time. But when we would visit, our conversations were different than when they were on the phone. Okay. It was more like just a quick conversation. We were on the phone, just see how everything was going, and yell at me for whatever my mother told him, whatever. But our visits face to face were a lot different. He was a different person, so we were able to get a little bit more personal. Okay. And when I would always ask him, like, one, why did he do what he did? Two, like, what made him get out of that situation? He would always revert from what we were talking about. I don't know why.
Maybe because of what I'm saying. Maybe he didn't want you to ever hold that burden of him. Yeah. I mean, you can find it on your own from his interviews, but I think that he wanted you were the only probably good thing he ever had in his life. He wasn't out long, right? Like, when you look at a whole totality of someone's life, he went in at 19. Yeah. So I'm probably sure up until that 19 years, you were probably the only thing he had that was remotely positive. So why would I transfer that energy? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of our conversations weren't even about like that life and just that. Like, he would tell me bits and pieces of things, but he would always turn it into a joke. Everything with him is just about what he was trying to do to make my life better. So it was always, well, I'm trying to get this together, I'm trying to do that. And when he did have, extra money, or he was getting some situation solidified, he would always make sure I was financially taken care of.
Larry Davis that was in prison.
Yeah.
Black men, do y'all hear her?
Yeah.
Every black man on a check-in.
Yeah, but that's why it's like any man that's in my life, I hold him to a different statue, because it's like, bro, I saw how this man maneuvered, and he did everything in his power to make sure I was financially straight while he was incarcerated. Let me tell you, okay, my father would send, and it would be random letters that I would get, and it would be $20 in the envelope, and I would have no clue how he got this $20 to me from prison. He would put a note in the envelope that would say, before you take the money out, put gloves on and wash it. Don't touch this money without gloves. Wow. And as a child, I didn't know what that meant, but then I got older and I'm like, Dad, somebody just bought him this $20 in their butt. It gave it to him for him to mail it to me. Right, but those are the lengths that he would go, so it's like, can no man tell me, oh, I don't have it or I can't get it. This man died while he was incarcerated. He made sure I was straight. So
how was he treated in jail? How was he treated while he was incarcerated?
Terribly. They was pissing in his food, putting glass in his food, all kind of stuff. Beating him up. When he was in the wheelchair, he eventually started learning how to walk again. After they fractured his spine, they broke his spine. He was paralyzed from the waist down. He ended up starting to learn how to walk again. And I know when I used to go to visit, he was like a little mini celebrity in the prison. So when I would be in the waiting area, just waiting at the table for him to come out. And when he would come out, everybody would be looking at who he was going to visit with. So everybody would be staring at me, and he would be so ecstatic. That's my daughter. That's my daughter right there. So of course, all the COs would come over and want to say hello, and then they would walk away, and he'd be like, they don't even like me for real. They just wanted to see what you look like. Oh, wow. But right. He went through a lot. He went through a lot, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it was rough for him. I know, a lot of people seen the documentaries, that footage of him being beat, while he was in the wheelchair. It's like 15 of them on top of him. He's paralyzed, and they're beating him. But he went through that for a large period of his incarceration. And then I guess eventually it just kind of subsided as he was transferred from prison to prison until they just kind of got the hang of it. Because one thing about him is he stayed with an attorney. Yeah. He stayed with filing, this or that or this to get this person in trouble. That he ain't playing no games with them people. So what happened? After a while, he just became a troublemaker to them. So they kind of left him alone after a while.
Didn't he try to file for a lawsuit against the cops and the harassment and things like that?
Yep.
Okay, I know I have read something about that.
Let me ask you, LARRIMA, how was it when you heard that he passed, and did you feel like it was dirty?
The day that I found out that he had passed away, it was like 3 a.m, and I had just came in the house. I was out partying, and of course I was drinking. So my emotions was like at an all-time high.
Oh my God.
It was like the worst way to find out anything.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So my mom calls me.
You had just came from a club?
Yeah, man. Yes. I had just got home from a club, me and my homegirl, and I had just got myself situated and laid down. And my phone had just died. And hers was dying when we had pulled up to the house. So she had put it on the charger. And then she came busting in my room and she's like, yo, your mom is calling me. So I'm like, well, what happened? You know what I'm saying? And I want to say she had my daughter that night. So I'm thinking something is wrong with the baby. Right. And I'm like, well, give me your phone. My phone is dead. And she hands me my phone. And she was my roommate at the time. And she was like, no, something happened to your father. So I know he had health issues. So I'm thinking something like that. I'm not thinking that I'm about to hear what I'm about to hear. You know, so I get on the phone with her. She breaks down. How about right in the middle of her telling me the phone died?
Oh my God.
And it was like one of those, I heard her, but it was like I didn't want to believe that I just heard what I just heard.
Right.
And my stomach hit my butt. Like literally it just dropped. And I literally, no exaggeration, I felt like I couldn't breathe. You know, I just felt like, I don't know, it felt like I couldn't breathe. And it was so weird because that entire night I kept telling my homegirl, like, I'm ready to go home. And I didn't know why I kept saying I wanted to go home. But it was like, I just needed to not be where I was at.
Right.
And I told my mom, and, you know, I ended up having to go to therapy. I ended up being admitted that afternoon into a mental institution because I lost it.
Wow.
You know, so it was like one of those situations where it really literally felt like my heart was ripped out of my chest.
Wow.
Are you good with it, or you feel like it was dirty?
No, it was definitely not right. You know, I definitely believe it was a lot of foul play. We had a lawsuit against the prison. Of course, they couldn't provide us with no info.
On the autopsy or certificate.
It was a homicide.
It was a homicide?
Yeah, it was a homicide.
Did they plan?
I never wanted to know. I just know how he died. That's all I know is how he died. I never wanted to know anything. Yeah. I'm not good with stuff like that.
It was a homicide.
You feel like they planted that person there to do that?
I definitely do. I definitely believe that it's a lot more than what we were told.
Right.
You know, I definitely do. I have a lot of his journals and things that I went through, and it's a lot to a lot of things that don't make sense. You know, and it was like over a course of a couple of years, especially when it all happened, I was in a really bad place. I was just in a really dark place because the year prior to that, I had lost my daughter's father in a motorcycle accident.
Oh, wow.
So it was literally 11 months to the day, and I was still dealing with that.
Right.
You know, so when my father passed away, I was kind of like, I blacked. I didn't care. I didn't want to know nothing after we buried him. It was just, I kind of shut myself off from the entire world. I didn't want to know nothing that happened. I didn't really dig too deep. It wasn't until 4 years ago, mind you, this happened in 2008. Okay. It wasn't until 4 years ago that I actually went to his property. I've had his property in my home for the last, since he passed away, since we got it from the prison. Wow. You know, and when they released his property, it was 21 huge potato sack bags, and these bags were huge, and they were so heavy, just full up with paperwork, clothing, shoes, magazines, everything. And I had never really went through it. And then finally, about 4 years ago, it's like I just started wanting to really know, like, who he was, really. Like, really know him. And I just started digging, and it was a lot of things that popped up that ain't making sense to me. You know, it's not, and I think that's my main reason for really making sure that his story is told correctly. Right. Versus being told from somebody that don't even know our family, don't even know this man. They just trying to tell some Hollywood story to get some type of clout. That's my thing. Like, I don't want that to happen because I think
paid in full syndrome.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that's a definitely good comparison because that AZ and Alpo was definitely, we all know, They didn't even hit the high note on that. It was a movie for TV.
Yeah.
I imagine you being there, seeing what your father went through, relating to what he went through after he passed, and seeing what was going on. It's kind of like a goal, something that you have to accomplish.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I feel like I owe him this at this point. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's like, why do you feel that way? You're the child. I feel like I owe him this. You know, at the end of the day, he has played, even though he was incarcerated most of my life, well, my entire life. He has played a major part in my life, because I cannot say that I would not be the woman that I am today had it not been for him. I felt like I needed to excel beyond expectation because of not only who my father was, but because of what he went through. I didn't ever want, you know, my children to see me go through any of that. I wanted to give them a different life, so I had to live a different life, you know, but still maintain my resistance, still maintain how I feel, not allow anybody to push me over or make me be a gopher, make my mind up about how I feel about the injustice that is done to young black men, young black women, young black kids. At the end of the day, it's not right. It's still happening. It needs to change. I don't think it's going to change, but I think that at this point in time within our country, we're going to start ruffling some feathers, because people are waking up to what is really going on in front of us. And it's not just our black brothers and sisters. You have a lot of Caucasian people that are really waking up to what is going on. Right. You know what I'm saying? My mother is Italian. It's a little different ballgame. So it's kind of like we get the best of both worlds. She's a New Yorker, so you sitting down, you having that convo with her. She's very fast paced, and my mom did some time too. So her mindset is a little different, you know. But being raised by her and still having him in my life, in my corner, in my ear, I definitely feel like him just being my father, not just being my father, but being the man that he was within my life, has changed me for the better. You know, so that's my main goal, of making sure that this story is done the right way and not just how these BET movies be looking.
Right. And who could better tell it, you know? Yeah. Who could better tell it? You have his memoirs, you know how he was really feeling. Yeah. I just, you know, when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, he's a young black man that went through so much, just trying to make a way, and having to protect his family at 19, 20 years old.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Having to really shoot and to defend and protect the ones that he loves. And then to try to protect themselves, because they was out to get him.
Right.
They was out to straight up take him out. They wanted to take him out. They didn't care one way or the other. So it's really sad. It's really sad.
I mean, you made a comment that you said you don't think that it's going to get better. What do you think that it would take to get better? What do you think, like, what would be some good changes that you think that would take to make it better? So that other young men don't have to fall victim, because there's still Larry Davids out here. You think the police are still not feeding children? They may not be doing it. It was almost legal when your father it was happening. Now it may not be, and again, it was never legal. Let's be clear, right? But it was people among the units that knew what was. It was like the forbidden thing to say. Nowadays, it may not be so wanted inside of the police department, but it doesn't mean that there's not people and police officers that are not soliciting young African Americans to do dirty work for them. So now, when you made the comment that it's not going to change, what do you think could be some of the things to help it change so there's not more kids that are like Larry Davis? Well, there can't be another Larry Davis, but you know what I mean.
Well, I think it'll probably change in that aspect, because there's like a microscope right now on police. So, you know, anything that they do, people are going to question it at this point. You know, whether you're black or even, you know, the Caucasians, Hispanics, whoever that actually support the movement of making sure that the black people are treated, you know, equally. When I say I don't feel like it's going to change, when you have an entire force that they have this sort of a brotherhood, to where they don't hold each other accountable. I don't think that's ever going to change until they're held accountable. Right now, I do feel like it's a little bit of a let's do some things and shake some things up to keep some folks quiet, because our country is burning down.
Right.
You got folks protesting, you got them burning up cities, you got them fighting back. All right, we'll go ahead and go arrest these police officers. We'll indict them. We'll make them an example. Right. But it doesn't mean that it's going to happen all the time. It'll happen until things get quiet, like it always does.
Right. It'll happen because we're making a lot of noise. So they have to do something to quiet it down. But it's still, right, we're protesting to somebody else going through the same injustice that we're protesting about at the same time. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know. You can't even really do a psychological test, right? Because things happen. I mean, cops are confronted with very stressful situations, right? Mm-hmm. And you add whatever bias they have, whatever anger, whatever happened that morning that pissed them off, or whatever. Everybody has their triggers to what can make them go. It's just, that's one of the jobs that I already knew from young I couldn't do, right? Yeah. Some jobs are for you, some jobs are not. And like Rema said earlier, some people have these complexes, they need this power. And, people go into being a police officer for the wrong reason. Yes. Not to mention, right? Yeah, not to mention, you have a lot of these police officers that are going into the force after fighting years and years and years in the military, and half of them have PTSD, and either they're not taking care of themselves properly, or they're just not being, scouted out as, okay, this guy might not be mentally right for this job. It's more so if we need a job. It's so funny. I live directly across the street from a police station. And they have this lead light, like a regular job, now hiring. Who are y'all hiring? Why are y'all doing y'all hiring process like this? Call this number. That's like, that's like talking to somebody saying, you need employees,
But you got to think about it. Who wants to be a police officer right now?
Yeah.
But this is my thing, right? I think the solution to me would be starting with the 911, right? So I called 911 because my boyfriend feel like he want to punch me in my face and pound me out tonight, right? So I called 911. 911 comes. They make a law, domestic violence. Y'all both go to jail. If I hit him back, we both go to jail, right? I don't think that's a police call. I think if you bring police because the person who's abusing me is like, but I think that's more of a social. I just think that 911 calls need to be directed to where they need to go. If it's a violent crime, yes, 911. If it's not, if I'm calling saying I don't want him arrested, I just want him out the house. It's different from he's killing me, I need somebody to come. I'm just saying that they gotta put these calls in the levels that they come in, right? Everything is a 911 and everything is not a 911. So what happens? You put people like Rashad at risk of his life, not you, but now somebody like him is at risk because his call is not a 911, but because there's no escalation level, everything is considered police, and police don't know how to handle everything.
Do you think that when police officers are first hired, that they'd be put on community affairs duty for like a year or two in the community that they serve, right? To get to know the people that they're serving. Yes. Do you think that would make any kind of difference in the way they handle their jobs?
I don't think so.
I do to a degree.
To a degree.
I do to a degree. And when I say to a degree, it's because we have that type of a situation here, and it's not necessarily, hey, you're going to be on event duty or community duty for a year. It's just mainly you have certain police officers that actually come out here that I know by first name because they are super involved in the communities that they are patrolling. Right. And it does make a difference because you'll have a lot of us that will rather go to them than to go to the guy that we never see that comes out here, that we know comes out here bullying and trying to be a tough guy. Nobody's going to want to go to you. Nobody's going to trust you. I think it's really building the trust if they're willing, if they're willing to make that change to patch things up. The trust starts, it starts with trust. You have to build the trust within the communities that you're patrolling. So I think it'll make a change to a degree, I don't think it's gonna change until, like I said, everyone is held accountable for their actions. You cannot go around thinking that the first thing that you do at the side of an argument with an individual is to pull your gun out and point it in their face and possibly shoot them.
The reason
that's not the way.
The reason why I disagree is because a racist cop is a racist cop. You put him in a community, he's gonna behave because he's on a year watch. Yeah. All right, I'm in the community. The one you're talking about, that's the cop that I had in my neighborhood. Yeah. He was the husband to my mother's neighbor. Yeah. We all knew him. If anybody in the neighborhood got out of control, he was the cop. We didn't need
everybody went to.
Yeah. We had a cop on our block, so we were good. Any niggas pop off, he's coming downstairs. Yeah. Now, there's been times where, of course, people get 911 calls, but even then, he would come downstairs to deal with the police because he was a police officer. But these are people that don't have racism in them. So yeah, they come in the neighborhoods to do the right thing initially because that's just who they are. But I'm talking about the racist cop.
Yeah, the racist cops just need to go.
In the community. Yeah, for a year, I'm gonna treat y'all nice. Hey, hi, man.
Yeah.
Help with your groceries.
You think they would act? They would be able to act it out?
Look, I'll help you with your groceries, man. You need help off the bus? I got you. But give him the gun and the badge and say, go out on your own. Law and order. It's gonna be
He's looking for his first kill. He's looking for his first kill at that point. Yeah.
It's like, what's the remedy? Like, what can make it work?
That's that, Deb. The official said that. The officials brought that up. That, we'll take some of the money that we defunding the cops and we're going to put it back until... No! Don't do that. Take the money that you defunding these cop contracts and put it into the community so these 13-year-old boys got somewhere to go and something to do.
Right. Exactly.
Put it in a comment. The little girls could go back to jumping double dutch and having mentorship.
I still want to jump double dutch. You know what I mean? Myself.
Me myself. You know? I'm going to 27. Ain't never double dutch a day in her life. I'll be so mad at her. I said this summer we get in the rope, baby.
Right. Take it back to the basics.
27. She said she never jumped double dutch.
All right. So I see a comment right in the thread saying, we need more brothers to become police officers. Now that's from Burnt Nichols. Thank you for writing that comment. But do you think brothers want to become police officers? Do you think that is a profession that they really want to get into right now?
In my opinion, not even just getting into it. I'm not even going to say we need more brothers to become police officers. We just need better police officers. And the reason why I say that is because we've had a lot of brothers that are on the force that sat back and watched other brothers be murdered and make comments like, oh, he's going to have a closed casket. That was a black man that said that. Wow. After shooting another black man.
Right.
You know, it's like more so if they have to fit in and they have to abide by their brother. You know, and it's like, I swear it's like a cult once you join.
I was about to say, it's something going on with them because I've seen plenty of videos where you may see an officer that's not a brother. So any other race, I don't want to just say white, doing the most. And I don't see them saying, stop, or can I talk to you for a minute? Well, it's none of that. Like, let me handle this while you go calm down. There's no interception. There's no code words being said. It's just the action being taken place. I actually saw a video.
Lose their jobs. There was a police.
Right.
She lost her job.
Right. If they speak out, they lose their jobs. And then they get no pension. They get no pension. They could be on the force for 15 years. They say something out of order. Now they find the tiniest, minute little thing to take them off the force. Now they have no pension. They have nothing. They wasted all that time serving. I saw a video last week where there was two white men fighting. Other white man pulled out a blade and started stabbing the other one in the neck. A black guy passing hit the guy with the chair, the one who was stabbing, to stop him and get him off the guy. The cops were called and they took the black man to jail.
I think I seen that too.
Right,
I think I seen that too.
Yeah, nothing to do with it. How does that happen? How does that happen? He's trying to stop another man from killing somebody else. Did they call and he's the one being taken to jail?
He's black. His skin automatically makes him the threat. He you know, he's the perp because of the color of his skin. It's profiling
all the way. Well, this is like our second or third week, right, Rema? We've been trying to talk about this topic. Again, for those who's just tuning in, we have LARRIMA Davis with us tonight, the daughter of Larry Davis, which is very in tune to the climate. You know, the topic is in tune to what we've been talking about as far as the protests and the COVID. Police, tonight we really touched on some real police corruption. So if you don't believe that it exists, if you believe everything you see on the media and think that you're getting the full story, you're not. Make sure you start researching. You need to really look up this case, Larry Davis case, if you don't know, even though you have to be questionable about some of the information you get.
For real.
I don't even know how to even, well, just rewind this segment and listen to what we said earlier tonight, about the real story to what's going on. But we still have a ways to go. To go.
Definitely.
What's unfortunate about it is that, and African Americans as a whole, and I don't know if it's just like what we're used to, but we tend to put everything in a jar and we want to correct everything in a jar that's in a jar all at once, right?
Oh, that's
so now people are like, okay, black on black crime, black men beating up black women, rap music. I mean, you name it, I've heard it. And it's like, it has to be one step and one. When I set goals for myself, I always have like 5 to 10 goals, always.
Right.
But I also put on that sheet long term, short term. There's a reason why I put long term and short term, because I don't make up goals that I don't accomplish. Like, it's not for fun. Like, these goals is going to get me somewhere. So I have to do these things in order to get to a place where I need to be, right? I think with us black people, we're not thinking on that level, because we just been always just happy and content with what we have and where we at. So it's like
until something happens, right? Until something happens.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, police brutality and injustice should go together. Yes, injustice and police brutality should go together. Why? Because the only people that enforce injustice is the police.
Yeah.
Who's enforcing it? Who else? But people, I be having these conversations with some of my brothers and sisters, and again, they be like, oh, don't be mad, I don't have your view. No, you're missing the whole point. I love the whole point of the show, the great debate.
Right.
I love it. I love people who don't have the same opinion. Right. It's great. It's knowledge when you don't have the same opinion.
Right.
If the world would not wake up in the morning and say, let me post on social media to see how many likes I get, to see how I need to feel about myself today, the world would be, to me, in a better place. I feel like a lot of us do that. I don't know how to feel today. Let me post to see who's going to like my shit.
Right.
Or decide how I need to move for the day.
Right. It's true.
Like, people, we got to start thinking better than that, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, injustice and police brutality, they go hand in hand.
Yes.
One forces the other.
We definitely need to get more active with these people. We go vote, our community leaders, and we do all these elections. We need to be vocal. We need to go there. We need to talk. We need to stay on the people that we vote into office locally to represent us. Because those are the people that we can get to. Those are the people that we can talk to, right? We just had election. We just voted people in. Everybody got these great platforms, right? What they going to do to change? Are we following up with them, making sure they're making these changes? Do we see them in the street after the elections, making sure that, right? Making sure that the things that they told us was going to happen is happening? Are we getting a follow-up call 3-4 months later? Hey, I want you to know what I've been doing. I've been passing this. I passed that. Is there any follow-up? Is there any accountability when it comes to the police, when it comes to politics, when it comes to being a respectable member of your community or whatever? It's like it's such a lack of accountability at this point on so many levels. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, we can do that. We can all write a letter. We can all find out where our local borough president is at and go there. We can all say, look, this is happening in our communities.
You know, all of that don't matter, Deborah. It's
what I'm saying, because we don't do it.
One thing that matters at this point in the world where we at, and that's presidency, right?
Yes. Presidency.
It's Biden and you got Trump. And a lot of people say, well, I don't like Biden. He did this to women and he... Fuck all that. Fuck all that.
The media would say you do a lot of things.
To us right now, we are not telling you who to vote for. But what I will say is this. Donald Trump is not for color people. He don't even speak our language. He couldn't even tell you 2 black names. That's how much he don't relate to us.
Only name he know black is Obama. That's what he hate on that man so bad, you know.
That over Joe Biden? I'd rather put Biden in 4 years and then we work on it.
Biden ain't gonna last 4 years, but it'll be better having him there for 4 years. Biden losing his mind at this point, but we need to get him up in there and get Trump up out of there. And whoever is Biden's running mate, will it probably end up in the House anyway.
I mean,
Biden is losing his mind.
Funny with this African American woman. The funny thing is, I don't even like the 3 people they got as the African American woman. I hope he don't.
I don't either. Honestly.
I'm so mad. Like, what? It's not about, and I'm an African American woman. It's not about that. These African American women are not nowhere near the power of Hillary Clinton as a woman.
Right.
These African women all have contradicted themselves for their towns that I've seen on my own. Okay?
Wow.
Lance Bottom Keisha, love her. She's my homegirl. I feel like I can chill with her every day and pop bottles. But at the end of the day, she was the first one up there like, oh, this don't happen in Atlanta. Atlanta don't do that. Our police officers kill our citizens. What happened the next week in Wendy's parking lot?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Never say never.
I told them, Atlanta don't do that. We don't do that here.
Right.
You gotta humble yourself. You gotta humble yourself.
Sure do.
This is politics. These are our lives, our children's lives, our grandchildren's lives.
Man, listen, this is crazy. I mean, just think, we just watched the Central Park 5. Like, it's so many stories with the same core element of injustice, right? It's just sickening. And then we have children that we raising, and it's just like, I need to give them something of substance to walk around with, you know what I mean? Like, I can't just be like, oh, this is just happening and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't feel hopeless. Huh?
I want to know, what does she tell her children about police? Because everything I told my son seems to not even work nowadays.
Right.
What do you tell a kid? But you've been through so much of a different element with the whole police thing, right? How do you talk to your daughter? You only have one 16-year-old?
Yeah, I have one teenager. I mean, the way that I kind of talk to her, because she's getting older now, she's wanting to hang out and things like that. And, you know, in the beginning, I think kids all have to like bump their head to see that you're not just being mom, you're being like real, like, bro, I'm not that much older than you. You're not going to play me. I'm going to need you to listen to me because things are getting real. Right. You know, she's never had a run-in at all in reference to the cops. She's more of a homebody, so I'm actually happy about that, but I don't like to shelter her, so we have those conversations because she's getting older now. Eventually she's going to be out on her own, and what I don't ever want to have happen is she have that running and not know how to handle herself. Right. You know, so she's very educated on, you know, her grandfather and everything that transpired with that, the current state of our country, things that are happening, things that have been happening. She's very in tune. I don't really think you can ever really educate a child too much on how to conduct themselves or how to handle themselves. And I don't feel like, honestly, I think it's sad that we have to when it comes to cops, you know, but my daughter thinks in her head that her mom can fix everything.
Okay.
You know? And I want her to understand, and we've had these conversations previously, that I can't fix everything. She has to understand that it's some things that she's gonna have to learn how to maneuver, and just sometimes it is just survival. And I hate that word, because I didn't raise my kids on survival. They were raised on love, and it's different in my household. But I had to, teach them how to conduct themselves in the outside world. I let her go to a beach event. We live near the water, and kids were out there acting crazy. Somebody started shooting. Police stood right there. Nobody did nothing. Nobody tried to prevent it from happening. My child was running and calling and crying. That's when I'm just like, yeah, nah, this is crazy. And she's hysterical when she came home. She's like, the cops stood right there. And that's when I had to let her know, because they don't care about y'all. That's why you have one black boy shooting other black people. Right. They don't care. That's why. And of course I'm all irate, because I'm like, I should have never let you go. I knew I shouldn't have let you go, but I didn't want to, shelter her, because that's when kids start to get rebellious. And I'm like, I don't want to be that parent, but I'm like, I don't want to lose my kid. Whether it's from somebody in the street, a stray bullet, or these cops, because they decide they want to start acting crazy. Right. She ain't been out the house since. This happened a couple weeks ago. She was more distraught at the fact that the cops were right there and did nothing. And that's why I had to explain to her, they don't care about y'all. That's why. They don't care. They're not going to jump in the line of fire. Y'all doing exactly what they want y'all to do to each other. And that's, so it's
sad. It's sad to hear. It really is sad for you to say, like, police was there, and like, well, in New York now, we have a high rise in shootings too.
Yeah.
And it's just sad, because it's like, we're trying to do a movement here, and who's doing the shooting. And unfortunately, that's racist for me to even say that. But with me saying that, it's true. Who's shooting in the Bronx and Harlem? It ain't Caucasians. Right. The Caucasians love Harlem. Right. They don't even want us here no more.
Right. Right. They love that macaroni and cheese and everything.
What? They love Harlem.
They love all that culture. They love all that. But it's really sad, because, like, you're right, we're here under COVID, and what we see being on media, what is media showing us? 113 people killed over the weekend, murders on the rise. Like, we should be looking at the opposite on television right now. We should be seeing images of communities getting together. We should be seeing totally different images than what we're being fed right now on television. It's sad. They sad. When they're not trying to make us look bad, they making us look bad. It's one way or the other. Either it's a real situation, or they're going to create a situation to tear us down, And I'm not blaming it all on them, because we are actually factors to it. But we have communities of people, generations of people that are growing up and not knowing who they truly are, with no guidance, no nothing. That's why, going back to your father's story, I'm like, who taught him, I'm not leaving this apartment until I get the FBI on the phone? He had some real protective knowledge for himself, right? But another person be like, oh my God, they outside. Like, what can I do? I'm in a stranger's house. They could bust in here and get me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he actually, I don't know who was mentoring him or who he was talking to, but at certain points, he definitely used some knowledge that was above and beyond to take care of himself. I know at some point he started getting guidance from the Nation of Islam. He converted, and that probably helped him, like he's turned himself in, and a lot of other things that probably took place after that, going back to your father's story. But I think to be so young and to be faced with what he was faced with, and the way that he handled it, I'm talking about outside of the apartment, what happened in the apartment, I'm talking about with the system, what he learned along the way, while every day being subjected to beatings and all these other different things, right? Because the cops are mad and angry that he got off, right? That he got those charges. They thought that once he went to court, he would be convicted, and that would be it. Like, all the cops showed up, all the cops that raided the house showed up, all in uniform, to try to get sympathy from the jury. All these little tactics and these mind games that they was playing, it didn't work initially. You know? So it's just sad, man. It's just sad. Like, he could have grew up, got into music, opened up a studio, had a record label like Rough Riders. You know what I'm saying? Had all these artists out. That could have been one avenue. And because cops or, this whole epidemic of drugs and breaking us down and killing us by generations, and preying on kids that don't have two parents, and it's like so many systematic issues that we've been talking about for the past 3-4 weeks. It's just sad. And
these are also the things that we have to take responsibility for ourselves and stop thinking that people are going to make it better. People are not going to make a one-family household better. I was a mother who raised my child by myself,
and you did it good.
But it's not but some of my friends didn't.
Yeah.
That I grew up with. Some of my friends weren't that lucky like my son. So I'm just saying that to say that we as people got to do better. If you have a kid with people, you need to make sure that you're going to be there for that child, regardless of how crazy the person is, regardless of how violent the person is. You lay with that person. What that person was when you bring life. That's like marriage. Through death do you part.
Yeah.
So we have to do better as people.
Right. It's not a leverage for child support. It's not a leverage for food stamps. It's not a leverage for Section 8. You know what I'm saying? It's not a meal ticket because you have a baby by somebody that you think, we do have to do that. And just because you have two parents in the household doesn't mean that your upbringing is going to be any better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't guarantee
you have two parents in the household do worse than me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who have two parents in the household who still live with their parents.
Right. Okay. Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's not really a default anymore. Sometimes it does you better to have one parent. One of them might be a little out there. You know what I'm saying? You might do better without having it.
See, this is the thing. My mother was not an affectionate woman. I did not grow up getting hugs, saying you were the best daughter. I didn't grow up getting that. When I grew up, but I was privileged enough to make sure they always made sure I had.
Right.
Always came with the big Alexander bags or whatever was in it. Right? So they always made sure I had, but as far as my mother with the affection, she just wasn't. I only started hearing I love you when I was like, I'm 45, maybe when I was 41. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, my moms didn't do that. I heard it from others, but not my mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Did I become...
And it's different. It's very different. It's very different not to hear that from your mom. My mom she was different. My mom was amazing. She was, she had her stuff with her, but my mom was the mom that woke up every morning, got us ready for school, walked us to the bus, made us breakfast every morning. And we got all of our loves yous. Christmas was crazy. Birthdays was crazy. Pool parties all the time. She was that mom. So it makes me sad when I hear stuff like that. Because even till this day, me and my mom...
It's not to be... But see, this is the thing, though. It's not to be sad. Why? Because just because my mother never said, I love you, didn't mean that she was less of a mother than a mother who said to her child...
Or she didn't love you. Or she didn't love you. Right. Sometimes people just don't know how to show affection.
But see, that was never a question. Because I felt it, right? So I never And that's the thing, right? People who don't get hugs, sometimes you can see that they don't get hugs. With me, it was like, okay, even though you're not told you love, you know that you love. But it never made me, in fact, it made me a better parent. Everybody's not the same, right?
Yeah.
I get it. But all the people out there listening who either don't have their fathers or never had their fathers, or they had an abusive mother, or they had a mother who allowed them to be molested, or they had a cousin who was beating their ass, whatever you as a child growing up, whatever your traumatized life was like, whatever traumatized you as a kid, never let it hinder you. Make it somehow make that energy make you better. It could make you the best person ever if you just allow that energy to. Some people suppress it, and sometimes when you suppress it, if I would have went around like, oh, my mother never said I love me. So now here I am raising a black man, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker, you ain't shit. Why? Because that's how, my mama ain't talk to me like that, but that's how some people are. I got friends like that. Because they didn't get love from their parents, how they treat their kids is reflective.
Yeah.
They may not say, I hate you, but when you're telling 9-year-old motherfucker, you ain't shit. You ain't gonna be shit. Take your ugly ass in the room. What do you think that's doing to a kid? Then they go up there to these cops that are corrupt. That's like, come here, you want to make $5?
Exactly.
Right. It all ties
or looking for acceptance. You know? Looking for acceptance in the wrong places. Looking for love in the wrong places. You know, it's sad.
So before we end the segment, because we have about 15 more minutes, what would you like the people to know about your dad?
I don't know. It's not really much of knowing. He was an amazing individual. You know, he was very funny, very down to earth, coolest dude you ever meet. He was super fly all the time from the photos that I've seen. I just think that you know, keeping his legacy alive and keeping in mind that you can be just as strong as he was in these times, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just want to make sure that he's remembered for who he is versus who everyone is, you know, certain individuals have painted him out to be. Right. You know, and that's just, he was a very strong, headstrong individual, very strategic, you know, and he was that guy. He was that dude. He was that dude. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud that he is my father.
Nice. Anything you want to add, Rema?
I mean, that is big coming from, you know, Larry Davis' daughter, in a time where we are now walking into George Floyd, Ahmaud Rashad, and so many other young African Americans that were taken advantage by police corruption and police brutality. You know, you didn't have your father here, right? Unfortunately, the corruption of police allowed it to where your father was taken from you. Like so many other African American kids, right? So I just want, I'm trying to paint the picture for our viewers that they got to think a little broader than it's just not about your kids selling drugs for the cops, right? Your whole family was destroyed from that. It's bigger than, right? So there's other kids like you out there who don't have their fathers because of some sort of corruption in a system that's supposed to be for the people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And it's like, well, how do you trust? How do you tell a community that I need to go to this person when I need help and guidance? And how do I say that my son won't become a Larry Davis? And you know, it's just the world is just so crazy with COVID and everything else going on. I think that police corruption should be a prime ticket in the minds of all African American people right now, not just because of George Floyd, not just because of your father and Breonna and all the other black people that lost their lives. And again, they say, well, it's not just black lives that matters. Well, until we stop persevering black lives, nobody's life is gonna fucking matter.
Yeah, exactly.
We had enough of being all courteous and, you know, considerate of everybody else.
That was Barack Obama day.
Right. We had enough of that. We had enough of that.
Yeah.
We had enough. We are people too, right? We deserve to be treated like anybody else here. All this extra, or you having hate because the color of the skin, all that stupid, naive. We already had to listen to your history. We already had to listen to your religion. We already had to go through all that stuff that was not ours, right? And you're still trying to rape us. You got us paying taxes. I feel like we shouldn't be paying no taxes. We should be living here working, making money, and not giving them back nothing because they done took too much. I'm with Ice Cube on that. He made a point about that. We shouldn't have to pay no taxes. We already paid our dues. You know?
It will be a all day in hell.
Right. It won't it?
That's the only thing they value.
Niggas want to live for free again.
Yeah. All right. They'll twist it and make it negative, right?
Right. You know they will.
Twist
it. Niggas want to be lazy again.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly.
And they're the ones that are benefiting the most off of these food stamp, all these programs, but you won't see that in the news, right? They be the first ones to go get all the benefits.
Right. Just so that the viewers could be clear before we go. So you are now in the works of doing the Larry Davis film, right?
A TV series, yes.
A TV series.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure the viewers keep their eye open. You got a page or something where people can follow you and
yeah, it's LARRIMA Davis, pretty much on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. LARRIMA Davis. Yep. LARRIMA, I guess you would say. It's LARRIMA Davis. On Instagram, Facebook, and
follow
Twitter.
this young lady. She is very, very, very. I already could tell you're gonna make that happen for your father.
Yeah.
She's very well spoken. She's very determined, and most importantly, God will cover you because you're not bitter from your life. And like most people in your position would be bitter with life. I don't think not one bit of bitterness coming from you. Not one.
It took time. Don't get me wrong. It took some time, but it took enough time for me to really just realize that it just is what it is, and I got to make things better for myself. You know, and walking around mad at the world because of circumstances isn't going to change anything. So I have to change things for myself, you know, for my family.
Well, we definitely, again, appreciate you for joining us and sharing your story. And
Thank you for having me.
And we are rooting for you. We hope this goes through because I think it's a real lesson to be learned. You know, I think others can benefit from seeing this story, you know. And I feel that the thing I like about it the most, that it really shows, even with all these adversities, it was a lot of perseverance at the same time.
Yes.
He stood for something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's very important, that he stood for, I have a right to protect myself. I have a right to protect my family. And if I make a decision to get out of the game or whatever it was, I'm going to stand by that.
Exactly.
So I respect that. You know what I mean? I definitely respect that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we definitely appreciate you for coming on the show, and we hope that you come back when you do get the TV.
Definitely. It'll be soon. It'll be really soon. Actually.
And shout out to Manny. We have to give Manny a shout out.
Yeah, Manny's a cool dude.
To the studio, and you're gonna do this. So shout out to him for making that happen. You know,
definitely. Thank you, Manny.
And that's another thing that's so important: is support, right? And helping each other. People have these avenues and these channels where they can help another person get heard or exposure or whatever. We just need to really stay in tune with helping each other out, because if we don't build our own community,
definitely.
It's not gonna happen. So, what's up, Rema?
Nothing. Just telling one of the viewers, thank you. She said this was a really dope show, and I agree with her that it was really a good interview with enlightening people on, you know, that time in the 80s where, you know, there was no George and there was no Louimas, and it was just Larry Davis and more than 6 cops, but you know, it was just Larry Davis and those cops that day that changed the whole course of police corruption in history.
Yes.
In history. Yeah, history.
Yes.
That one day it changed the whole course of it. Had he not gotten acquitted, it probably would have not changed history. But I think the fact that he was acquitted just really took it to the level of, like, the government will see that their people are corrupt and still say it's okay. They've been doing that way before we seen it on film. Way before that. And it's like, maybe stories like these is what black people keep the need. Maybe we gotta dig these stories back so that black people could be like, enough. Because maybe the youngins don't know the Larry Davis. And it's like, you gotta know Larry Davis to know how we got to George Floyd. So on that note, you know, I don't really know what else to say. Debra, I think we lost. Did we lose Debra? Yeah, we lost her. It's okay. It's our last out. It's our last. Anything else you would like to say?
No, thank you. It was a good talk.
A few followers following you, I'm sure of it. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show, and we appreciate you so much. God bless you, and have a good night.
Good night.
I'm Rema. This is The Great Debate. I thank everybody for tuning in. Catch me and Debra Coco, and not this Friday coming, the Friday after, We love you guys. Be safe this 4th of July holiday weekend. God bless. Good night.
Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's
DJ
the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them. Face down, face up. That's the way we like them.
Tease me, baby. Turn around and just tease me, baby. You got what I want and what I need, baby.
Let me hear you say,
Please.
let me hear you say,
Please. Tease me, baby. Turn around and just tease me, baby. You got what I want and what I need, baby.
let me hear you say,
Please.
let me hear you say,
Please.
lollipoppin', twerking in some J's on the dance floor. No in the way with it. Bring you close to me. Don't want no young dumb. Better pick me like we listening to Jodeci. I was trying to lay low, taking it slow. When I'm thinking again, hey, gotta celebrate. If your man look good, but I'm away. If you can sweat the weave out, you shouldn't even be out. Then the reservations at the I'm gonna ride it, do it just how you like it tonight. And after that, let's do it one more time.
Girl, I ain't one for begging, but now you got me begging. Please me, baby. Turn around and just tease me, baby. You got what I want and what I need, baby.
Let me hear you say,
Please,
let me hear you say,
please.
DJ Smoothski.
Pop it up, bounce low.
Bounce low. How low can you go? How low can you go? Ratchet, get up.
Bounce low.
Bounce low. How low can you go? How low can you go?
Pop it up, bounce low.
Bounce low. How low can you go? How low can you go? Ratchet, get up.
Bounce low.
Bounce low. How low can you go? How low can you go?
Big old freak, big booty, big old tree. I'ma make him wait for the cook. Hit it in these big old skis. Ayy, feet on the bed. Hey, I mess him up in the head. Kiss it, then look in his eyes. Then the next day I might leave him on red. Ayy, pop it, daydreaming by hot rocket. He hit my phone with a horse, so I know that me come over and ride it. I'm on the way, ride on that thing. I'm like, hey. Usually I like to cut, but tonight we gon' make love 'cause you play. Nobody know. I be with him on the low. We never show up together, but I text him when I'm ready to go. Hey, I had a couple of shots at the bar. I'm finna play with that thing in the car. I got him swerving and breaking the law. These been on tennis, so nobody saw. Ain't nobody trips like me. Nope. Get what you need like me. Nope. Ain't nobody got him on their tiptoes and roll to the tip like me. Hey, I got him addicted, he fiending. My body a drug and he need it. He begging me for the treat, begging me. He throwing fit when I leave him. He like, let me roll, he like, love from you. My body addictive, it's driving him crazy. Don't know what to do without it. He messing with you, I doubt it. They don't understand that I'm all in his head and there's nothing they do on my body. Thinking for me, they going crazy. I got what you
Know they wanna dance a little bit every now and then. So why not give them she twerk? Hey, Cash Shot is in the building, and I'm rocking with my homie DJ Smoothski. We finna get the ladies out they seat, out they car, wherever you at. Hey,
She told me smack her on the booty. She said I got too many. She said I got too many shows.
but she twerk, 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 but she twerk.
You are now welcome to the Great Debate Podcast, featuring your girl Rema and Debra Coco.
Twerk, good, I wanna see you twerk. I throw a little money to twerk. I don't really think you could twerk. Twerk. If you broke, go to work. Make that big booty twerk. Make that big booty twerk. Can I touch that booty? That booty? That booty? Can I lay on them booty? Mike
Flexing on the booty. Copyright that booty. Bounce that booty on the floor. Shake till you get a little soft. Show 'em your mama made her. Go ahead, get a little low. Shake that booty in the car. Shake that booty in the store.